I'm convinced there is a lag period, so maybe I should just do some dances for 30 seconds before the stream gets underway. This is going to be a really juicy stream, by the way, so hopefully it's capturing my audio at the moment. Anyway, how are you doing? Hope you're well. My name's Kristian. Okay, pleasantries over. So what I wanna do in this stream is I've got a few big announcements that I want to make. First thing is I've decided to do one of these live streams every single day until my birthday. So for the true Kasanovians out there, you'll know that I did a live stream every single day for, I think it was 387 days. And I've kind of felt lately that something's been missing. And I realized doing these daily live streams, they really make me happy. So from a purely selfish perspective, the reason why I'm going to do this is because it really helps me get into the state that I call godly frequency. It feels like a meditation to me, kind of like when I go to the Muay Thai gym or when I'm doing cold approaches. It allows me to get into this transcendent state where I feel as though I can do anything. I feel as though I'm being of service to the world. So what I'm going to do every single day until my birthday on the 12th of January is I'm going to show up every single day and just aim to help you as much as possible. So you can see these live streams almost like coaching calls in a way, because what I want you to do is I want you to leave me comments on these live streams and give me your questions. Now, I don't allow the live chat on these streams because most of the time the comments are completely retarded and I don't have time for nonsensical stupidity. But I do know there's plenty of people out there who watch my content who would love to be able to ask some questions, pick my brains. It might be about cold approach, it might be about solo traveling, it might be about online business, building an international lifestyle, making friends, making money, making connections. So really, I just want to show up every single day until the 12th of January and just help you as much as possible from a purely selfish perspective, that it makes me feel good to show up on these streams. So I've got some questions that I'm going to answer in this stream. Not sure how long we're going to go on for, but if you do enjoy these streams and you're happy about the daily live streams coming back, drop it a like. And in this one, what I want to do is I want to answer a question from the stream yesterday. And somebody asked a really good question. So if you watched the stream yesterday, I was talking about when you're first starting off with daytime cold approach, the best thing to do is minimize the time that it takes to do your first 100 daytime cold approaches. So in my experience, it takes around 100 daytime cold approaches to start to develop proficiency. And ideally, you want to do these in as fast and as condensed a time period as possible. So what I suggest to guys is have what I call an immersion week, where you aim to do 15 direct cold approaches every single day for 7 days. By the end of that week, you'll have done 105 direct approaches. And to make this even more practical, aim to record the audio of as many of these conversations as possible, because what you need is you need a point of reference. You need to understand where you're going wrong, because you don't know what you don't know right now. In the same way that when I'm working with my clients one-on-one and they're doing their approaches alongside me, I'm listening into their conversations. So I use these invisible wireless microphones, and these allow me to listen in to my clients' conversations in real time. And then I can give them instantaneous feedback, which means they can just get rid of all the guesswork, skip the trial and error, and turn decades into days. So when you are doing your first 100 approaches, I recommend that you just use the voice recorder app on your phone, capture the audio through your headphones. So if you're using those archaic headphones, just let the headphones dangle over your shirt collar. If you're using AirPods, you can keep one AirPod in. Guys are often like, yeah, but what about when I go for the phone number? Isn't she going to see that I'm recording? It's like, dude, sort out your first world fucking problems. Just it's just like a covert operation. Just make sure she doesn't see the screen. It doesn't matter at that point in terms of what's more important is you're getting the open and listening to your conversations, because you might be talking too fast, you might be giving off gay best friend vibes, you might be sounding like a closet heterosexual. Your approach in your open, you might lack conviction. You might be approaching women with this apologetic attitude. You might be given these lukewarm compliments like, oh, hi, excuse me, you look nice, you look good, you look kind of cute. And that's the reason why you're not getting the results at the moment. But it's okay, we've all been there. Like, I was completely shit when I started. But one of the best things that I did was just start recording the audio of my conversation. So it'll give you a point of reference. So now we understand the point of this. We're doing 100 or we're doing 105 approaches in the space of 7 days. I got a question yesterday from a guy, and he was like, Kristian, what are the best cities for a complete newbie who has got a lot of anxiety right now? What are the best cities, ideally in Europe, where I can take some time off work, I can have a week-long getaway, and get these first 100/105 approaches out the way? So I'll read his question, and then I'll just give you everything that you need to absolutely crush it. Does that sound cool? Nice one. Okay, so person in question is called Sabzian. I hope that I'm saying that username correctly, or is it Sabzian? Fuck knows. Okay, Kristian. My city in the UK depresses me, so I want to get out for my approaches. So he wants to leave. Where in Europe would you recommend for a newbie to do their immersion over a quick getaway 7 days, where the women are receptive enough to build confidence and positivity, i.e., not completely destroyed in the early stages of day game by bitchiness? I mean, I do understand this to an extent, but wherever you go, there you are. Okay, if you've got this mindset that all the women in your city are giving off these bitchy vibes, usually that is what you will attract. Okay, I started off in Leeds during the pandemic when I looked like absolute horseshit. A lot of it is just doing the best with what you've got, dude. If you are going out with the mindset of, oh, I want to get away from this bitchiness, like, usually the girls are your mirror. Okay, so it's important to understand that wherever you go, there you are. Okay, so a lot of times it is having, as cringy and as annoying as it sounds, having more of an optimistic outlook. Okay, but anyway, I'll answer your question. So, right, you feel depressed in the UK, you want to get somewhere. So I made a list of cities that I will suggest to you, young Padawan, and then you can make a decision based off of my recommendation. So the first city that I'd recommend that you go to is Krakow in Poland. So this was my first European excursion. So when I was first learning cold approach, it was a pandemic, so international travel was kind of difficult. So what I was doing in the early stages, this is actually quite useful, was I was just traveling via bus to different cities in the UK. So I started off in Leeds, and once I started getting recognised in Leeds as the guy who was doing all these approaches, I was going to different places. So I went to Manchester, I went to Liverpool, I went to Cambridge, I went to Edinburgh, I went to Glasgow, I went to Bristol, I went to Cardiff. I was just going all the way around the UK because I was so obsessed with getting this skill down. And I was just prepared to do whatever it took. It didn't matter if I was in Cambridge, if I was in Cardiff, or if I was in Liverpool. I was just finding any opportunity to develop this skill. And I'm really happy that I learned in the UK as well. We'll get onto that a little bit later. But Krakow was my first European excursion. And I remember, it's actually crazy. I remember I was commuting to work one day, and I was in a place in my life where I was really dissatisfied with my current reality. So at the time, I was making my YouTube videos, I was coaching on the side, I was doing magic gigs on a weekend as well, and I was working my 9 to 5. So I used to work in the National Railway Museum in York. I used to give public talks to 60-year-old men about steam locomotives. Anyway, I was on the train or bus, whatever I was taking one day, and I looked on Airbnb, and I realized I could get an Airbnb for the entire month in Krakow for less than $300. I don't think that deal is available anymore, so inflation's a bitch. But that really changed my mindset because I was living in Leeds. My expenses were I can't remember, about 1,500 quid a month I was playing for an absolute shithole. So something really changed in my mind. I was like, okay, I could go to Krakow. I could live there for 1 month. I can create content. I can accelerate my cold approach progress. So all of the stars kind of aligned for me at that point. So I went to work that day. I handed in my notice. And then a couple months later, I found myself in Krakow. And Krakow, it's always got a special place in my heart because I really see that as a coming of age city for myself because I went from Leeds, the UK, over to Krakow. And what I found was the women were a lot more receptive compared to what I was used to when I was approaching in Leeds, Manchester, Birmingham, London, Cambridge. But I don't know if it was the women or if it was because I just become better compared to when I first started. But one thing I would say about Krakow or places in Eastern Europe is the women do feel a lot more feminine. They really appreciate having a cold approach conversation. And you don't need to teach them how to have a cold approach conversation. Sometimes, if you're approaching in the UK, the women can think it's some sort of joke. They don't know how to actually handle the approach. They think it's a prank sometimes. But what I found over in Krakow was because, I know, for me, the women just seem to really appreciate that masculine essence. And I just found it a really good place. So I think my first recommendation would be somewhere like Krakow. I don't know about other Polish cities. A lot of guys say Warsaw is burnt at the moment. I don't know. I had a great time in Warsaw as well with Efrem. We spent a month there and it was amazing. But Krakow was great. So I would say, in terms of the cost of living as well, it's very affordable. And I think if you are a complete beginner to daytime cold approach, aiming to do your first 100 approaches in Krakow, it would give you what you were looking for in terms of positive reinforcement. It will give you confidence in your own capabilities. You'll get a lot of momentum over there. The level of English is really good as well. So there's a lot of benefits to going somewhere like Krakow. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going there right now in the winter because that is literal cold approaching. I went in January for my birthday. I think it was in 2018. Not for cold approach. I was there with a former girlfriend, and it was blisteringly cold. I think it was about minus 15 degrees. So unless you want to go out with your huskies in your trench coat, I recommend. I went in August when I went on my 1 month expedition after I left my job. I went in August, and it was a beautiful time of the year. I've been other times as well in May, decent, but I think in the winter it's a bit treacherous. So that brings us on to city number 2, which is Barcelona. Barcelona is just a great city. It's more expensive than Krakow. But the good thing about Barcelona is a lot of the people are there for a good time, not a long time. So what I found is you can get away with having, let's say, mediocre game. Because a lot of the women who are in Barcelona, it's quite a transient place. So you'll find that a lot of the girls, they're not living there full time. They might be on weekend breaks. They might be there to just enjoy some romantic experiences. It's got quite a party vibe to it. And also, if you go around this time, like November, December, January, the weather's going to be better than it is in Poland. But I really like Barcelona. I've done immersions there. We had one of our entourage meetups last year or this year. Yeah, in March of this year. So we got all of our entourage guys. The entourage is my private community. So all the guys that get coached by me personally, they all get plugged into our private community, the entourage, which is it's like the most capable wingmen on the planet. So we link up together, we travel together, our guys call approach together, lots of different experiences and meetups, yada yada yada. But we really enjoyed Barcelona. Barcelona's a great city. Again, it does give off more of a people are not there, in my experience, to find anything serious, but it is a great city to get your reps in. And also the culture of Barcelona, approaching people in the daytime, it felt a lot more normal over there. It's probably got something to do with that Spanish culture where it's kind of like in Italy as well, where just talking to people, it feels more natural compared to the UK, where if you're in the UK, especially if you're in a city like London, But this is why a city like London is, for me, it will always be the best city to get your reps in, okay? Because Barcelona is good and it will give you positive reference experience. And you will have so many great experiences there. Like one of my guys, Baltus, we did his immersion last summer in Barcelona, completely annihilated his approach anxiety in pretty much a matter of minutes and had a full on girlfriend experience within just 2 days. Fucking awesome. And I think to get your confidence going, to show yourself that cold approach can work, that's a real psychological shift. Because I think a lot of guys battle with that question. Does cold approach work? Really the question that they're asking is not does it work? It's does it work for me? Or will it work for me? It works as long as you do. It's like saying sales doesn't work. It's like saying marketing or paid advertising doesn't work. It works as long as you know how to use it. Okay. So if you go somewhere like Barcelona, in my opinion, it will help you get points on the board nice and fast. But I would say a caveat to the advice that I'm giving you here is don't expect a change of location to dramatically change the way that you see yourself. It might, but really, this is about playing long term games with long term people for as long as possible, like dating, business, relationships, fitness. These are not games that you complete. They're games that you never stop playing. Even when you're in a relationship like I am and other guys in the entourage are in relationships, it's so important that you continue being the version of yourself that your woman fell for in the first place. I do recommend you continue to quote unquote cold approach. In other words, when you are in a relationship with a woman who you really adore, it's important to just continue to be social. It doesn't mean that you're going out there slinging Johnson every Saturday night with a woman you just met on the streets. But what I've found time and time again is guys begin to almost become a stranger to themselves. It's like they get the woman and they think it's job done. No, it's game on at that point, right? So even when you've got your woman and your life is going really well, it's important you don't slack off. It's important that you continue being the version of yourself that your woman fell for in the first place. Can't remember how I got onto that topic, but I think a lot of guys have this fallacy that once I've got the woman, it's job done. No, that's probably when you're at your most vulnerable. It's because that comfort quicksand of complacency is a silent killer. I've made this mistake so many times. Before I got into cold approach, and before I started this journey of what I would call personal renaissance, I would meet women. I would somehow be able to attract them opportunistically. Maybe I was at a house party, or maybe I just had some fake confidence in a nightclub. And then usually what would happen is I would get the girl, but I had no idea how to keep her. So my dating strategy was based off of acquisition as opposed to retention. So what is important, and this is really, really crucial as well, when you're first learning the skill of daytime cold approach, I do recommend you stay single for the first year because it's important that you prioritize the skill over the women. A lot of guys, because they've come from a place of romantic scarcity and they were never the popular kid in school, they never had their selection of women that they actually wanted. As soon as they find a woman who likes them, then sometimes what happens is they cash out too early and they've not allowed themselves to fully actualize not necessarily their potential, but it's like going to the blackjack table and cashing out at $1,000 when you had the means of making millions of dollars. Maybe that's a topic for another time, because at some point it is important to recognize, right, out of all of these women that I've got to choose from, I want her. Because I think, and this is just coming from experience, I think the reason why a lot of relationships fail is because the guy hasn't fallen in love with abundance. He's still clinging to old paradigms, usually based around scarcity. So a lot of people, they've got resistance to what I'm saying. Oh, you're telling guys that once they found a relationship with a woman they really love to continue cold approaching. Oh, that sounds so callous. That sounds so cold hearted. And really, in my experience, the relationship that I'm in now is the healthiest it's ever been. Because if you're, and this is, I just think this is true now. Like if you're in a relationship with a woman and she doesn't think that you have the means to replace her, then I think it destroys the excitement of the relationship. I think when you're in a relationship, your woman should feel as though out of all the options he had to choose from, he selected me. But the position that I've been in so many times in the past was it wasn't a case of I wanted her, it was a case of I wanted someone. So my loyalty was based off of scarcity. So that's why I do think learning daytime call approach, however old you are right now, you're not just learning it to get laid. I mean, that might be your intention at the start, like whatever gets you out of the house at the end of the day. But really, the way that I frame it to the guys that I work with is you are really investing into your future relationships. We'll get onto this more in later in the stream. If you're enjoying this so far, drop it a like. But yeah, Barcelona, really great city. If you're looking to get points on the board, positive reference experience in a culture that celebrates being social and it doesn't feel like a big deal, Barcelona's awesome. The next city I put on here is Lisbon. Lisbon's quite similar to Barcelona. I really enjoyed my time in Lisbon. I've got infield footage in Barcelona and Lisbon. So if you just type in, I guess, Kristian Kasanova Lisbon, you'll be able to see the layout of the city. Lots of international people in the city of Lisbon. Also, Lisbon's just a beautiful city as well. And again, similar to Barcelona, the culture celebrates being social. It doesn't feel like a big deal. You'll find lots and lots of tourists who, similar to Barcelona, they're there for a good time, not a long time. So if you've got the balls to simply initiate, then you'll do well in most of these places because that's what you'll find. It's really the guys who've got the balls to just do something. That's what gets you results. Like, I don't know if you've ever had it before where maybe you were in a bar or a nightclub or some form of social setting and you were just stood there with your dick in your hands watching some other guy who was no better looking, no richer, didn't seem to have any apparent status, absolutely cleaning up right in front of you just because he had the balls to open. So this is why I made it apparent on the live stream yesterday. A lot of this stuff, you already have everything you need to live an incredible dating life in the same way that you've already got a six pack. It's just there is a layer of fat which is hiding it at the moment. So really what I do when I work with my guys one-on-one is I don't teach them anything new. Instead, we just remove the bullshit. We remove the pretense. We remove the nonsense, which has been keeping them stuck. Because this really is a process of unlearning. And you'll find it, the more reps you do, the more you dive bomb into discomfort, the more you do things that terrify you on a daily basis, you'll realize this is a process of removing. Okay. The reason, in my opinion, why most of the dating advice online is bullshit is because it focuses on adding more to the guy. Oh, you need to add more fake confidence, add more muscle, get your eyebrows threaded. Like some of that stuff might be somewhat useful, but after a while, you realize the biggest block is the bullshit. It's my favorite analogy. I've used it time and time again, but I appreciate a lot of people are new to this channel. When Michelangelo was asked how he carved the statue of David, he simply said, I removed everything that wasn't David. And that's really my dating thesis. I call it anti-game artistry. It's a two middle finger salute to all this horseshit dating advice out there. Like, oh, you need to learn lines. You need to be a pickup artist. No. You need to be a high value man. You need to make lots of money. You need to have a penthouse in Malibu. And then one day, the woman of your dreams is going to knock on your door. Build it and they will come. And it's like, no, all of that stuff is stupidly passive and weird and nonsense. Really, what this is liberation through action and attraction through subtraction. That's what I do, and that's what I found to work. And I know it works because I've already installed what I do into over 200 guys. The results speak for themselves. Just go on Kristian Kasanova Testimonials on YouTube. You'll be able to see what guys have actually experienced by working with me. Lisbon's great. Lisbon, Barcelona, Krakow. These are great European cities to have you get away, to do your first 100, 105 direct approaches. Also, I found the level of English in Lisbon was great as well. A lot of tourists, a lot of people just up for meeting people. Do you know what I mean? I feel like at the end of the day, that's why people travel, right? It's not to... a lot of guys, I used to make this mistake as well. Like, I've solo traveled to over 30 countries right now. And you remember I was saying at the start, wherever you go, there you are. What I would suggest, and this is so important for you, when you first touch down in a new city, it doesn't even matter what time of the day it is. It could be midnight, it could be 4 a.m., it could be midday. Don't stay in your apartment. Just force yourself. It might just be taking a walk through the city. It might be going to a bar and not necessarily even talking to anybody. But what one of my mantras, and the thing that I've seen get results for guys time and time again, is never be at home. Okay? Because it's so easy when you get to a new place like Krakow, Barcelona, Lisbon, to spend a lot of time in your Airbnb, spend a lot of time in your hotel. And something else that I recommend that you do as well is when you are going to these European places, stay in a hostel. Stay in a hostel. And you might have resistance to doing that. Like, oh, I enjoy my own space. I enjoy my own company. I'm more introverted. It's like, motherfucker, that's why your dating life sucks at the moment, right? In order to live a great dating life, you need to be prepared to do what you currently don't want to do. So if you're in a hostel, I don't like being around people that much. I'll be completely honest. I do enjoy my own space. But yeah, it's so important because if you're just spending a lot of time in the isolation of your comfortable Airbnb on your own, that there's limited social accountability. But let's say, imagine you go to Barcelona, the first night there, you check into your hostel, there's other people, everyone else in the hostel is scared to initiate, but you know you're there for a social mission. You are there to upgrade your dating life. It's liberation through action. So what you'll find is your hostel actually provides a beautiful social bedrock to start as you mean to go on. Yeah, so just initiating with people. Hey, how you doing? Where you from? Oh, nice, nice pair of shoes. Where'd you get? It doesn't even matter what you say in a hostel. And then if you've already practiced being social when you're in the hostel, then the whole cold approach thing, it'll feel a lot easier. Who knows? You might even go to the hostel. You might meet another like-minded guy, and you might say to him, "Hey, Dave, I'm gonna go out to do some approaches tomorrow. Do you want to come with me?" And then you can wing each other. People are just waiting to be led. That's what I found. Like people are just waiting for a guy with a big set of balls, with conviction in what he's doing, to just put invitations out there. So that's what I would suggest. If you go to a European place, stay in a hostel, stay there for your 7 days, and then it's going to give you that social accountability where, yeah, sure, you'll probably get to the end of those 7 days and you'll feel socially exhausted, especially if you are more introverted. But for 7 days, dude, just suck it up. Do you know what I mean? Because I was watching I've not watched it for a long time. You know David Goggins? I was listening to his podcast with Joe Rogan last night, and I was just thinking, like, if you take David Goggins' approach to cold approach, it's just like, just get hard, motherfucker. Just do the thing. Oh, you've been a little bitch because you don't want to spend 7 days in a hostel. It's like, start your first world fucking problems. Like, what are we here for at the end of the day? I'm just going to turn this AC on because it's getting kind of warm. So Krakow, Barcelona, Lisbon, stay in a hostel, get your social flowing. Next city, London. It's the best city in the world to learn daytime cold approach. It just is. Why? Because it's the most challenging city. London is not for the faint of heart, but if you are serious about becoming elite at daytime cold approach, I'm not talking ordinary level. I'm talking about God level tier to the point where you can just approach any woman, anywhere, anytime. You've achieved this level of godly frequency. You feel like a social beast. Nothing phases you anymore. Then London is a safe pair of hands because, like I was saying before, in terms of somewhere like Krakow, you don't necessarily need to teach the women how to have a cold approach conversation. They already appreciate it most of the time. In London, because it's a city of over 10 million people, a lot of the people, especially if you go to central London, people are in a rush. It's busy. Like if you've approached in central London, you'll know what I'm talking about. It feels like the lion's den. It feels like the belly of the beast. I remember I first went to London to cold approach in 2020, and I was so out of my depth, it was ridiculous. But that city has made me who I am today because I felt so out of my depth because everybody was walking fast, nobody was stopping for me, people were giving me that weird side-eye glance. I was approaching girls and they weren't even acknowledging my existence. They just brushed past me. It's like, oh, it's just so good in this weird, sadistic, masochistic way. being able to know that you can cold approach with full confidence in London, it changes the game. I've done so many immersions in London with guys who were shit scared, and I've taken them to what I would consider to be the hardest streets in the world, especially for practicing your stop, because getting the women to stop in London, that is all we typically focus on during the first day of my one-on-one coaching in London. We're not worried about conversation skills. We're not worried about getting phone numbers or happy endings. We're just focused on the stop. Because once you know you can get women to stop on Oxford Street or Regent Street, you're essentially 80% of the way there. Because the way that I see cold approach, the only things that matter are open and close, right? Everybody overcomplicates cold approach. You might be watching other guys online, they've got amazing conversation skills, they're preaching about verbal mastery. Oh, you need to push, pull, vibe, stack. Oh, has she hooked yet? Yeah, sure, that might work for some guys. But really, I make everything stupidly simple, because when you're learning cold approach, it can feel so overwhelming. You've got so much theory in your mind. You're thinking, oh, am I tall enough? Am I the right race? Am I dressed good enough? Do I stink? Are these women going to see right through me? Are they going to know that I was bullied as a child? It's like you've just got so much nonsense in your mind that if you can boil cold approach down to its essence, which is simply open and closed, you'll do well. All right. So when you are doing your first 100 direct approaches, the best mindset I can give you is just focusing on the open and just focus on getting the women to stop, getting in front of them and giving them a strong, hard hitting compliment. Right. So it's, excuse me, you look incredible. There's over, I don't even know how many infield videos that I've posted on this channel over the past 5 years. But just go and watch my infield videos just to see how I get women to stop. Really focus on how's he going over, what is the proximity, you know, how's he delivering his words. Just watch it. Like, all the information is here for you. But just focus on the open, because when you do that, you're not thinking too many steps ahead. You're not experiencing failure in advance. You're not rejecting yourself on the woman's behalf. You've just got one simple intention: go over, get her to stop, right? And you just rep that out lots and lots of times. This is what we do during our first day of coaching. I'm just focused on getting the guys to stop, right? And the thing is as well, when I'm first taking guys to somewhere like Oxford Street and Regent Street, yeah, it feels overwhelming. And usually the guy's getting emotionally battered for the first 10, 15 approaches. But one of the greatest feelings for me, I don't even consider myself a coach. I don't even know what the fuck I am, to be honest. But one of the greatest feelings for me as a human being is watching another man make progress in something he used to suck at. Yeah, I remember I took one of my guys, we'll call him Travis, over the summer. I worked with Travis. Travis was 21 years old, doing exceptionally well in his business, making a shitload of money. He had a place in Chelsea, so doing very, very well. But when it came to approaching women, you know, the classic scenario, thinking way too many steps ahead, yada, yada, yada. I remember I took Travis to Regent Street, and for the first 30 or so minutes that they were there, he was just getting absolutely battered. The women weren't stopping. He was getting funny looks. He'd come back to me every time with a grin on his face. But the thing that I really love about Travis, and really all the guys that I work with, is they're not focused on perfection. They're just focused on the next rep, right? So you have to be relentless with this. You are going to get, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to get undesirable outcomes, right? You're going to get approaches that don't go well. You're going to feel embarrassed. You're going to feel cringe. I hate when people say this shit. Oh, this is so cringe, dude. In other words, I'm totally scared to do this thing, that the only thing that I can do is call it cringe. Let me tell you something interesting. The reason why we fear failure is because we judge other people who fail. Clip that, write it down. It's an absolute banger. The reason why we fear failure is because we judge other people that fail, right? So when you're watching people like me on the internet who's living a life beyond the beige, you're just putting his balls on the line, going after what he wants rather than settling for what he thinks he can get. Usually the visceral reaction from guys is, oh, this is so cringe. In other words, this holds a mirror up to my self-limiting beliefs, right? This is so out of the ordinary that I can't even comprehend it. So my knee-jerk reaction is to criticize it. So I understand it's easier said than done, but when you are doing these first 100 approaches, understand the version of you 2 years from now is a completely different version. So I don't even remember the majority of women who I approached and the approach didn't go well. But in the moment, it feels like a huge deal, right? It feels like, oh, if I approach this woman, she's a spokesperson for the rest of the feminine. And it's going to mean that my DNA isn't worthy of replication. No, the more you open, the more you close. But if you've got this long-term future projection mindset that these first 100 approaches, they're just batting practice. They don't even count, right? You might strike out every time. You might get lucky. You might hit a couple of home runs. It doesn't matter at the start because belief follows action. That's one of my favorite phrases. Belief follows action. So if you can understand that, when you go out to do your first 100 approaches, and let's say you do get lots of undesirable outcomes, you are emotionally callousing yourself, in the phrase of David Goggins. Because the version of you who gets rejected today, your future self will thank you for putting yourself through the social fire. So when I look back at my old infield videos and I watch myself getting rejected, I look at myself with that weird Cristiano Ronaldo stance. I just look at, what I was back then. Without that version of me, I wouldn't be where I am today. So you just do have to go through that suck phase, right? Just give yourself permission to be shit. Give yourself permission to look like a bit of a tit. In 100 years' time, none of this is going to matter. And one of my favorite reframes is, imagine you're 70 years old, so you've still got life in you at this point. And imagine looking back on the recesses of your life thinking, fuck, when I was in Lisbon, when I was in Barcelona, when I was in London, fuck, I wonder what would have happened if I just put my balls out there and just did 100 approaches. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, it's a good reframe. I always find that useful because sometimes it's difficult to embrace your own mortality. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people like, yeah, one day you're going to be dead, dude. So, better do something. But I think sometimes even just viewing like 20 years into the future and looking back at the opportunity you had in front of you right now, I think it's cool. I think it's a good reframe. But London, for me, is the best city to learn daytime cold approach. You'll get a kaleidoscope of different women from different locations. A really good thing about London is it's a pick and mix of nationalities. So you might be in London and you might find, for whatever reason, you do very well with women from a certain country. That can then help you tailor where you want to go after London. Does that make sense? So you might be in London and you might approach 23 women who are from Poland and they all just love you. Then that might signal to your mind, oh, maybe I should go to Poland. Okay. Because after a while, especially once you've done your first 100 approaches, you realize that good game can't make up for a shitty location. And when I say shitty location, I'm really talking about the size of the city. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're living in a city of around 60,000 people, you're not going to learn cold approach. You need volume, you need foot traffic. So if you are in the UK, I'd say get yourself to London. If you don't want to go to London, get yourself to Krakow, Barcelona, Lisbon, or the next city that I'll give to you. Because I remember when I was in Paphos with Efrem at the start of last year, Paphos was such a small location that if we were based there full time, we wouldn't have a chance of becoming proficient with daytime cold approach. So London will give you everything that you need. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not an easy city. I would say it is the most challenging city on the planet to learn cold approach. But the beautiful thing about London is if you can do it in London, you can do it anywhere, right? And I'd suggest as well, if you can watch I've got loads of coaching infield series on this channel, but I'd suggest watching the videos that I made with Genki, the Japanese guy. That was a really insightful coaching series for me because Genki had tried cold approaching in London in the past and he'd never gotten results from it. And within 10 minutes of working with me, he already had his first date lined up and he went on plenty more dates as well. But the thing that I said to Genki was, because London, in my opinion, is the most challenging city, I think it's easy to quickly lose confidence in yourself. If you're going out there, you're getting emotionally pummeled, you can't see any light at the end of the tunnel. But I would say watch that coaching series with Genki and just watch how he improved over time. And the way we really did that was just by focusing on the stop. Right? If you watch that coaching series, I go super in depth about the stop, why it's important, how to properly execute the stop so you're showing up in your full, unapologetic, masculine self. The stop is everything. All right. If you don't get your stop right, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Fucking else, I was from Bristol there. Have a pint of cider. Get on your chair. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you stop shit, then the women are not going to want to talk to you because it's just a conviction that you've got behind what you're doing. A lot of guys, they're scared to get fully in front of the girl because they don't want to draw attention to themselves. They're thinking, oh, but what if I'm a nuisance? What if I get in the way? What if she doesn't like it? Dude, going halfway with half a heart only digs a deeper grave. So if you're gonna approach, you have to fully fucking mean it. Otherwise, she's just gonna think you're not serious. Like, what the fuck does this guy want? Especially if you're in London, women will just brush past you. You need to give people a compelling reason to stop. So again, just watch the coaching series that I've made with Genki. We go into everything in detail. You can experience working with me vicariously through the Genki series. And then the final city that I wanted to suggest for you, it's a little bit of a curveball, is Milan. Milan. No one saw that coming. Maybe you did. I've got not coaching videos. I've got infield videos in Milan as well. I really loved Milan. I really love the Italian culture, similar to the Spanish culture. Talking and approaching people, it felt very normal over there. Loads of tourists, like lots of beautiful people as well. I found lots of tourists from different parts of the world, like really, really, really attractive women. Milan was great. Like I enjoyed it. A bit small, but good. That's what she said. Milan, I enjoyed it. I think that Italian culture is quite contagious. It's similar to when I was in Brazil, because an interesting mindset that I often meditate on is imagine a guy who knows nothing about cold approach having all of the skills associated with cold approach. In other words, a hashtag natural, right? So by positioning myself, in what I would call these extroverted environments, you do start to soak things up through osmosis. That's what I saw when I was in Rio. That Latin American flair. Like I would see guys who were doing what you would call cold approach by our menial Western standards. But to them, it was just as natural as brushing the teeth. It was like, oh, attractive girl, walk over, do something, initiate. So one of the beautiful byproducts of going to these different locations is you see how the other guys operate. And it's good then to be able to assimilate different things into your own personality. So from Brazil, I learned more of this social shamelessness. Yeah. Because after working with over 200 guys now, I realized one of the biggest things that is holding guys back from living the dating lives that they want and really just going after the things that they want, they're shackled by shame. Yeah. They think that approaching women is wrong in some way. Maybe you're surrounded by self-limiting social circles right now. Maybe your friends are telling you it's weird or it's low value to want to approach a woman and give her a compliment when in my experience it's one of the most liberating things you can do. I had a comment the other day from a guy. I think he was trolling, but he was like, call approaching women is gay. I'm like, brother, this is like the antithesis of homosexuality. Like going over to a woman and giving her a compliment and extending a romantic invitation. I don't think that's gay. But anyway, he's probably trolling. But point being, like you can go to lots and lots of these places and you can soak up what the guys are doing over there. Because, like I was saying to you before, a lot of this stuff isn't learning anything new. It's removing the doubt, the conditioning, the shame, which is holding you back. One of my favorite quotes is, what do I believe to be true about the world that isn't? Because a lot of times we have these beliefs in our minds and we don't even know where they come from. We don't even take the time to question them. That's why I think when you do get started with something like daytime cold approach, you realize it's the most aggressive form of self-development because it makes you become more sovereign, right? You start questioning things more. You start to ask yourself, is this true? Is it true for me? Why do I believe that? And the beautiful thing about daytime cold approach is you can recreate your entire identity in a single approach, because you're only ever one approach away from everything changing, because change happens fast, right? If you're in a car accident, your life is never the same again. In the same way that when I did my very first daytime cold approach in Leeds in 2020, even though it was shit, it changed my life forever, because it showed me I could do it, right? And that was one of the greatest sensations that I've had in my life. Yeah, I was watching videos. I decided to go out to do my first approach with all that resistance, despite the resistance, despite the doubt, despite the hesitation, despite not believing in myself. I went out, I did it, and then it made me realize that becoming a powerful individual, it's simply about minimizing the time between thought and action. That's how you become powerful. It's having an idea and then executing on it, right? You think of an omniscient being like God, right? In the beginning, there was the word. He says it, boom, it's done, right? So the more we can minimize the time between thought and action, that's how you get results. And this is why a lot of guys who they're in this analysis paralysis stage where they might have been watching cold approach content for years, and maybe they've done the odd approach here and there. It's not enough, right? You need intensity. You need 7 days. If you're doing it on your own, right? 7 days. Set yourself 7 days. Have it as a social mission. Go hard and then go home, right? Because this is a fallacy of, oh, when I see a girl on my way to the gym, I'll approach her. No, you have to immerse yourself in the skill before you can integrate it. But that understanding that you can recreate your entire identity in a single approach. Here's a crazy idea. I don't think that we can be in love with another human being. I believe that we are in love with their capacity to allow us to experience love. Right? That's kind of a head fuck, but just take some time to reflect on that. I don't think we can be in love with another human being. I think we are in love with their capacity to allow us to experience love. So what I found for myself, we're going to go very deep here, but this is probably the most valuable 10 minutes of your life that you'll ever fucking spend. When I was first learning cold approach, I didn't believe in myself. Like people online, I'm probably guilty of this in the past. Oh, believe in yourself, bro. Just be confident. I'm like, motherfucker, I don't feel confident. I'm a porn addict. I've got erectile dysfunction. No woman wants to fuck me. I'm alone in this grotty apartment in Central Leeds. I was on universal credit at one point. You're telling me I need to believe in myself? Fuck you, dude. It's not about belief. It's about prioritizing the behavior, right? If you understand this one thing, it'll change your life. It changed my life as well. When you're first learning something like daytime cold approach, you don't have belief. All you can have is optimism in the absence of certainty. So what you want to do is ask yourself, if I was already living the dating life that I wanted to live, what actions would I have taken to get up to this point? Because it's the behaviors which are going to shift your identity. You can't think your way to a confident state in the same way that you're not going to think your way into getting a six pack. So if you prioritize the behavior of a man who's already winning, right? Because let's say, for example, you want to attract a beautiful girlfriend from daytime cold approach within the next 90 days, right? Forget about believing in yourself. Forget about believing if that's possible. You simply mimic the behavior of a guy who's already got her, right? So if you did have a beautiful girlfriend, what actions would you have took, right? And then you make your actions align with your ambitions. Well, you've probably done 100 daytime approaches. You've probably realized that you don't need to believe in yourself. You just need to understand belief does follow action, right? You will seize opportunities. You will put your ego to one side. You'll book 7 days. You'll stay in a hostel. You'll just do whatever you need to do to get the thing. But it's by prioritizing the behavior, that's what has got me to where I am today. It's the same mindset I've applied to training Muay Thai, creating content, leaving my 9-to-5 job, living an international lifestyle, doing enjoyable things. I'm just like, right, what's the goal here? What do I want? And then what behaviors do I need to do to get that thing? That's it. right? You don't need to believe in yourself. I didn't believe in myself for fucking years, right? I still have moments of doubt and uncertainty, but whenever I am in these moments, I just remind myself it's not about the belief, it's about the behavior. The first time that I ever went to the Muay Thai gym in Bangkok, I was absolutely shitting myself, right? And I could do some fucking red light therapy. I could go to an ice bath. I could do some, fucking gratitude journaling or saying affirmations. None of that bollocks works for me. What worked was putting myself in the environment and just prioritizing the behavior over the belief, right? So if I want to train Muay Thai, what do I need to do? Well, I need to go to the Muay Thai gym, despite the resistance, despite the hesitation, despite the self-doubt. And I've been training for over a year. I regularly take clients of mine to their first Muay Thai session. And the thing that I really want you to take away from this live stream is it doesn't matter if you don't believe in yourself right now. It doesn't matter if you've got self-limiting beliefs. It doesn't matter if you're fucking bullied at school and you think you're not tall enough, good looking enough, rich enough. It doesn't fucking matter. Because if you just prioritize the behavior with enough reps, every approach that you're doing, you will start to invest into the identity of the man who you want to embody. And what I would suggest that you do as well, if you've not done so already, download it's called my most fuckable man course. So if you go into the description of this video, somewhere close to the bottom, you'll see a link which is saying, it says something like get my free courses. Get my most fuckable man course and access the module which is titled Mindset Mastery, because that is a game changer. What I would get you to do, this is what I get my clients to do, create a personal renaissance document, right? In this document, you write about yourself in the third person as though it's already happened. So you write down your ideal identity, your ideal reality, your ideal lifestyle, relationships, financial income. And you write about yourself in the third person as though somebody else is saying it, right? Because what I found to be true is if we write about ourselves in the third person, it allows the statements to carry greater emotional weight. I explain everything in the module there, but really the foundation of that document is prioritizing behavior, because once you've got that clear North Star, you know exactly what it is that you want. All it's then a case of is making your actions align with your ambitions. So that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? So we talked about Krakow, Barcelona, Lisbon, London, Milan. If you're enjoying, or if you have enjoyed the stream, do us a favor, drop it a like. Go on, you know you want to tickle that like button. Give it a tickle, you heartless bastard. Or if you don't like this live stream, a puppy in East Greenwich is gonna die for some unknown reason. So come on, you heartless fucking bastard, give it a like. Yeah, I think that's everything really. Like I say, I'm gonna do these streams every single day until my birthday, the 12th of January. So you can start viewing these as daily coaching calls. And I want to answer your questions. Like you can see, I've gone balls deep in this stream. How long have we been going for? Fuck knows. 52 minutes. So yeah, like I say, I get immense personal satisfaction out of making these streams. I think it's important to understand as well what really drives human action. Like what really drives you? Because I know for me, the thing that really drives me, and this is just complete raw authenticity, complete transparency. The thing that really drives me is recognition, right? I've been craving recognition ever since I can remember. Yeah, because I didn't have any friends at school. I was terrified to talk to my family. I never really excelled in anything as a child. I've always craved feeling important, yeah, recognition. That's the thing that drives me. That's the thing that gets me up in the morning. That was the thing that I used to create a career out of Cold Pro, to start on this journey of creating content online, helping guys actually become elite, not just at Cold Approach, but like when you start working with me, if you ever do in the future, you'll realize that Cold Approach is about 10% of what we do. Really, this is about life game mastery. This is about becoming the most fuckable version of yourself across the board. It's living a life free from bullshit. It's having the sovereignty to question everything. And I think I've never been motivated by positive emotions. I just haven't. I've always been motivated by darker emotions, stress, anxiety, depression, wanting external validation, wanting to be approved of, wanting to be recognized as something other than my former self. So once I understood what drives me, it makes the actions very easy. It's like Nietzsche said, he who has a strong enough why can bear any how. That's just me being completely transparent with you. I'm motivated by recognition. So when my clients pay me money to help them in certain areas of life, the way that I define money is a universal language of love, right? I could tell my mum I love her. I could tell my mum I'm always there for her. I can tell my mum no matter what happens, I will look after you. Or I could just deposit $10,000 into a bank account, right? Money is the universal language of love. So when somebody signs up and becomes one of my clients, that's the highest compliment they can pay me. That really feeds my need for recognition. I'm like, wow, that's important for me. And then that's what drives me to get the result, because I've got these people pleasing tendencies still. So when somebody invests a lot of money into my expertise, I over deliver because, when I was growing up, I almost learned game accidentally because I grew up in a single mother household. My mum was stressed off her absolute mind. She was working multiple jobs just so she could support us. So if I said the wrong thing with the wrong tonality at the wrong time, it would send my mum on this verbal tirade. And it wasn't a nice household to be brought up in, but it's not a blame game. It's a name game. Without that upbringing, I won't be doing what I'm doing today. But find what fucking drives you, dude. Because if you're anything like me, you're probably not motivated by flowery things like, oh, be grateful, be positive. Like, fuck positivity, right? Fuck positivity. Like, whatever is driving you at the moment, use it. Use it as fuel. Because once you understand, for me anyway, when I'm doing things like Muay Thai, cold approach, content, I'm not just doing it for me, right? I'm doing it for future generations. I'm doing it for you who's watching. Fuck knows who you are. I'm doing it for my girlfriend. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for that scared little boy inside of me who wasn't confident growing up. So if you've got this overarching why that you're doing it, it doesn't matter if you don't believe in yourself. Like, fucking join the process. Like, if you are focused on the end result, that is what drives human action, right? Now, look, there is an argument to be made. Like, okay, enjoy the process. If you're not having fun with it, I completely agree. Like, that will debilitate you. But the thing that has always driven me was, what am I doing this for? Do you know what I mean? Like, when I was first making content, yeah, sure, it would be really nice and altruistic to say that, oh, when I was first making content, I was making content to help people. No, motherfucker, I was making content to make fucking money, to get out of my shitty life. That's why I was making it, yeah? And that's not feel-good advice, but that's honest, right? I think something that we need more of, especially in the content space, is more honesty, just more brutal honesty, right? The reason why I made content at the start was to make money, to get myself out of that godforsaken life so I could do what I want, when I wanted, with who I wanted. That was my North Star. That was what was driving me. I wasn't driven by a desire to help people. I didn't give a flying fuck at the start. I wanted to help myself. And I think if we are all honest with ourselves, the world is motivated by self-interest. But if by helping me, I help you, then that's a good fucking deal, right? That's really what capitalism is. For me, capitalism is when both people make a deal and they both benefit from it. Awesome. Fucking happy days. But I'm kind of just like sick to death right now of, you get these like flowery people online. Oh, the reason why I make content is to make a difference. It's like, no, motherfucker, you've got pain in your life that you're looking to solve, and that's okay. But I think if you're clear why you're doing the thing that you want, yeah, and you've got a clear understanding of what is motivating you, maybe you're not happy with your life at the moment. Maybe, like me 5 years ago, you're working a job that you hate in a city that you despise. You know in yourself you're capable of so much more, but your reality currently doesn't reflect that back to you, right? You might be commuting every single day, spending time around low quality people. Yeah, you might be going back home thinking, I was made for so much more than this. I've got music inside of me. I don't want to die with my music still inside of me. I know I can create masterpieces. I know I can do something special. I know I was put on this earth for something. Because what I think the meaning of life is, I think the meaning of life is the fulfillment of a promise, right? I think when we slack off from the things that we know we're capable of, it makes us sad. It makes us not like ourselves that much. But I think if you resonate with my content, then you'll understand it goes so much deeper than talking to women, right? This really is a process of personal renaissance. And when you are out there and you are doing your approaches, like I say, every approach is an opportunity to recreate yourself. I've seen it time and time again with the guys that I work with, where I remember one of my guys, Jason, he had this belief that women weren't going to find him fuckable because he was bald. And that had kept him standing on the sidelines for years. He'd come out of a 10-year long-term relationship. He met his other half down the pub. And he didn't know how to meet women anymore. But now he was bald and he had a lot of self-limiting beliefs. And as soon as he approached a woman with me in London and she smiled, it started to erase this brainwashing. And then the first time he got a number, it showed him what was possible. Now he's in a long-term relationship with a beautiful woman he cold approached near Russell Square Gardens in London. But the point is, whatever self-limiting belief that you've got right now, usually it's just a lack of evidence which is keeping you stuck. So, whatever self-limiting belief that you have, you can erase most of this stuff through a single approach. So if you go out, you get some positive reference experience, maybe you go on a date from cold approach, maybe you attract a woman who you consider to be way out of your league, that's when change happens fast, right? But really, it's minimizing the time between when you have the thought and acting on it. Fuck me, that's been an emotional dump right there. Hope something that I said was useful. Like I said, I'm going to make these every single day until my birthday on the 12th of January. So if you've got questions that you would like me to answer, I will happily go balls deep on these streams to give you as much help as possible. So yeah, if you've got questions related to cold approach, intersexual dynamics, living an international lifestyle, solo traveling, making money online, oral hygiene, making sure your feet don't stink. I've got extremely sweaty feet. If anybody can help me with that, hit me up. I'll buy you $99 course. But yeah, if you've got any questions, drop them in like the comments of the video, not in the live chat because I don't have a live chat. But just leave me a comment. You can message me on Instagram as well. You can DM me. I've got a new Instagram page which I'm setting up to give more value out to the masses. So it's Kristian Kasanova Dating on Instagram. So if you want to DM me on Instagram, Kristian Kasanova Dating. If you've got questions, I read every message, every DM that I get. If you want to send me a voice message, awesome. I like communicating via voice message. But really, this is your daily coaching hotline now. So just take advantage of the advantage whilst you've still got the advantage.